Hello and welcome to episode 7 of our Timberborn 1.0 Waterbeavers playthrough, cycle 8, day 15, where we have a little bit of a food problem. Not necessarily, a cataclysmic disaster that's about to occur here, but we don't have a lot, and the bulk of our food is currently rice balls, which the beavers don't particularly prefer because they don't grant any stat bonuses. So we're going to try to fix some stuff with food in this episode. We're going to try to, reorganize some of this stuff, maybe improve farm yields, and take care of a couple things. But right off the bat, yes, folks, I have been thoroughly corrected by a lot of comments with some of the greatest amounts of upvotes I've ever seen about this not being the correct building for the brain-stimulating mushrooms. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the regular crappy warehouse and just replace that to be storage for the brain-stimulating mushrooms. And that's going to make things a whole lot better. Now, they've got 15 days to pick those up off the ground. But this is not the most important construction site that's currently being built. That would be these two water pumps to draw out of the center lake here. So, they're working on this. I think it's probably fine. Since these can't pump right now, I'm going to hit pause on these and attempt to maybe slightly reduce the population, or at least stop them from breeding. There's a couple other things we probably should do to help things along here. You might have noticed that the green peas are dying, or are already dead, and well, I guess these down here are probably okay until this gets all sucked up. But this really is not a great layout for farming things. And as a few of you suggested, yes, I do think it's time to get rid of these pine trees. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to mark this entire area for cutting. Going to get these all completely removed. We're going to take the tapper's flag away. And we're going to move it down here because we know we can actually kind of access stuff now. And, yeah, I probably don't need this to be here. And we probably don't need this florist to be on either, because that's consuming water and it's consuming sunflower seeds to make plant fibers, which we really don't need. Let's hit pause on those. That's going to give us some more homeless beavers, but it's also going to stop consuming some resources that we really can't, I shouldn't say can't afford to use, but we really don't need to be worried about that right now. So, now that we have, we got 250 some logs, I think it's going to be easier just to say, let's get rid of that one tree. We'll put the path in, and then I'm going to move, like I said before, if I can remember where in the world the thing is, the tapper's flag to right about here, because we have plenty of pine trees. I think it's going to be totally fine. And then this area can turn into more farmland, because we have 2 here, we have 2 here, we have 4 farmhouses total, but they're really, as a couple of you said, they're really not doing the work of 4 farmhouses. They're not fully utilized. And with this many beavers, we really need more than 4, even if they were fully utilized. So this space can get turned into more farming, but it's not irrigated, which is also a problem. But we can solve that to a certain degree by building some of these irrigation lodges. And, we have the materials to do it, mostly, and it consumes a decent bit of water, but I think the benefit of having this available is going to massively outweigh any cost. So, I think right here in the middle, where we have these sunflower seeds that are dying and are not going to be able to, well, really too much of anything, probably going to be one of the better spots to do it, but I'm not going to put it right here where there currently are seeds, because we have space here that is not going to be watered anyway. And if I move this out of the way, or I could slightly reroute things, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I'm going to want to put it right about here. That's going to have a nice radius to most of this space. And if you read the copy on this, it repels ground contamination if we have pollution resistance factor. So, long term, it's going to be a good thing. And we can actually see the range. If I mouse this over here, these cannot be flipped. People were asking about flipping buildings. We'll get to some of the other stuff. But I think for what we're doing right now, this is probably a decent spot for it. If I can get that to, yeah. So I could either put this right here, or I could put it right in this spot. I think this is probably going to be for the best. So, what's going to happen here is I'm going to have to slightly reorganize this. And we are making screw press axles, which aren't going to make a tremendous quantity of sawdust. So Again, the easy thing to do, and I know the explosives are currently here, they're just going to have to get moved. Let's just clone this. Duplicate. Now that's set there. Just take both of these out. Those are going to go on the ground. They're not going to be there for 15 days, and right now we need to be growing stuff. We're not waiting 6 days to grow more stuff here. That is just going to be how it has to be. There's no change in radius by rotating this, so we don't really have an incentive to. But remember that this can support upgrades. You see that pink text there. It might be a good idea for us to just hit pause, take a look at the upgrades, and then consider placement based on that. Because in previous versions, you were able to put viewing platforms and all sorts of hauler upgrades and things. So let's just go through here real quick. Sometimes these are buried in random spots. Well, I shouldn't say that because everything's placed intentionally. It's just that I'm not inside the brain of the person who did this. So I don't know. But there's always going to be some way. That's a farm upgrade. See, these are all just basic things. There's always going to be some way of having something attached that I'm never going to think of unless somebody mentions it in a comment, and you know how that goes. So I'm actually not sure. See, Lumberjack's Barn also supports upgrades. Okay, 2 adjacent triangle roof buildings. Yeah, see, this is what I was thinking of right here. Kind of like this. It can easily just go right there. Obviously, we don't need to build this, but that's what I'm talking about. You have to look at all these things. And so much has changed, it's not really possible for me to fully understand all of this. Harvester's Drying Tower. Yeah, see, this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And I can't place this because, obviously. But you see right here, there's this gap on the right side. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it would go on exactly one of those buildings. So let me see if I can get this to snap so I can show you what I'm talking about. And that's why this isn't flippable, because it supports upgrades if you were keeping track at home. That is one of these. It's really, really particular about how it goes on. And a lot of the time, I'm not able to do this. Ah, no triangle building. Okay, yeah, put your pitchforks down. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. So that's on top of a building like that is what that is supposed to be able to get on. But again, I've always had a horrible time trying to get these to actually attach. But that's what it's supposed to be for. So, once again, we go through here attempting to figure out where in the world I can stick stuff on this. See, I just don't know, and I know this absolutely irritates the snot out of a lot of you guys who watch these and just immediately don't understand why I am the way I am. It's going to get a whole lot worse, so if that's you, like, honestly, I'm glad you're here, but you are really going to have a bad time with this series. So, maybe it's an exercise in patience, or you can just, you know, get really mad. That's fine, too. I'm not your dad. But for right now, I'm not going to waste any more of your time looking through that. Let's just put this irrigation lodge in. And I think since we have both of these, this... you know, I'll let them build in sequence. Because I do need to get these... Yeah, they got 14 days. Need to get those picked up. But yeah, I really want this going more or less as soon as possible. So let's get that unpaused. Again, we're not out of food. But there's not really a lot of benefit to them doing rice balls right now. This is currently making the braised cabbage. Like I said earlier, previous episode, I wanted to keep all this stuff kind of in the same area. So that's why we have the cooking tent and the rice and everything. But as at least one of you pointed out, the cereal bar recipe is actually a lot better because it grants bonuses for some of the ingredients, whereas the rice balls, if we take a look here, don't actually have their own category here. So, yeah, it'll nourish the beavers, it'll keep them from dying, but it's really not that great. If we come into wherever the cooking, there we go. You see right here, it gets the nutrition for berries and sunflower seeds. And you do have to put the berries and the sunflower seeds in with that, and it does take 5 units of rice. But we also have chestnuts that we haven't been using, and we do have pine resin we haven't been using. And 10 water, yes, but it makes 22 portions out of all of this. Consumes a little bit less rice, a little bit more of other stuff, but it doesn't consume salt, which means we could pause the mine or change it to something else. And we get better food. Even if, you know, the upfront cost is greater on all these other things, it's just better. It does consume a little bit more water per portion than the rice balls, but I think the benefits are probably going to be that much better. So let's swap this over right now. And that's going to allow them, again, to start doing all this other stuff. And more importantly, if they have better food, from what I understand, they're always going to try to get the food with the most bonuses first. Which means if they get filled up on the cereal bars, then they're not going to want to eat the raw berries, they're not going to want to eat the raw sunflower seeds, and then those things, which if you're keeping track, you know, do go into the library, which is going to help us make more science. So, you know, it's all connected. Something, always sunny string board. But it really is. And I have not historically been very good at keeping track of a lot of this stuff, to many people's disappointment. So I'm going to try. I'm not going to make any promises whatsoever, but I am going to try to be better about it. That's how it goes. We're just going to see what happens. But we are thankfully still able to get water out of here. We only have 6 days left, so it's probably going to be fine. But once again, we really, really want to make sure stuff is not going just horribly wrong. And that's step one. We already talked about taking these things out. We don't really have a lot of extra space to plant yet. But we're going to need more cabbage, so I'm just going to get this cabbage started just as fast as I possibly can. We do need to rebuild some of these things to... oh, here we go. We're about to have some more water pumped in here. I just need to go ahead and put piles in. Small piles. Don't really need to worry about it that much. Sawdust, and then for planks. And since this is making screw press axles, I actually don't remember if I have a storage for those. Let's check. Screw press axles, because those have to go... They don't have to go into glorious storage, but they need to be... I don't have a single storage for those. Okay. Well, you know what that means. It means the time is now. So, that is also not the building type that uses those. Goes in a pile. There we go. Now we're going to have a storage for screw press axles. And, as you have undoubtedly seen, we have irrigation, which is very good. Also gives us a home for a few beavers. I don't know why that would... Okay, it's fine. Utilize potential 76.3%. It objectively isn't great, but it's better than nothing. That's also going to allow us to take most of this space during all seasons, not just droughts. Remember that when there's water up here, this is... Almost all of this is already going to be irrigated. But this is going to ensure the core zone around the farmhouses is available. So, we don't have enough water supply right now, enough pumping to really justify it, but I do want to put maybe right here-ish. Let's actually check. I want to put another one of these in. I'm not going to do it right this exact second, and it's not going to show me everything. But somewhere right around here-ish would probably be a good choice, because that's going to keep these annoying things taken care of. Maybe right here actually would be best, because these are already dead. What if I just did right here? There is going to be some overlap, and this isn't going to be a crazy high utilization, but again, it's going to be better than nothing. Keep these things going at all times. It is going to keep the brambles as well, some of them. And if I move it just one over, I think honestly, I'm probably going to want to swap the primitive paper mill and put it somewhere else. And now that we have some other spots, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Enough lollygagging. See, this is much better because it is very, very close to not having a bunch of overlap over here. Do I want to? I probably want to move this, actually, because these are empty. Bramble flowers, cabbages, pine resin. That needs to move anyway. Berries. Alright, you know what? Time to just do it. And quit crying about it. Alright. Now, this here is probably actually our best possible... Yes, look at that overlap. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. Or it's going to be better. So then I'm going to have this all be growable space. That is barely in the range of the farmhouse. This is still in range of the farmhouse. We might want to move these at some point. But moving this, and especially getting the storage out of here, is probably going to be a better option. What we can do as this becomes more and more, what's the word? Fixed, taking pine trees out, is we can, you know, plant in the areas that are going to be green, not plant in the areas that are not going to be green, and use that for storage. But what we can also do, which I have kind of been reluctant to do, is put in a bunch of these crappy platforms and then just build out over the water, because it really doesn't matter either way what's on top of here, as long as we can do something with it. And we have all this space that we're basically not going to be able to do anything at all with. So why not put it to good use, right? Assuming I can actually get over here. I might have to take this pit tank out and just make this into something. It's 17 per platform. And to be perfectly honest, there's not really anything that's going to be... Not really anything better to do with all that wood, assuming we're going to keep cutting trees down. But I can't stack these, so I do have to be careful about how I lay this out if I'm going to choose to do that. Okay, well, I actually didn't want to place all that. Remember, yeah, like, we can't stack, which means I can't do anything here, which means I'm going to have it come out this way. Anyway, that was more to illustrate a point than to say definitively we're going to put anything exactly in this spot. But just know, at some point we're probably going to need to do that. This is... Yeah, they haven't even started on that. Have they picked all this up? They have. I really don't need to have... all of this over. I think I'm going to have that go out. Let's empty that, and then I'll change the recipe. See, bramble flowers, cabbage still going in there. At least we're making science. That's, like, one of the most important things, is that you can have science. So we definitely want them to be able to do as much of that as they can. Yeah, there's just so much. So many little things that are going on. It's hard to keep track of all of it. But for sure, using the chestnuts is going to be good. Waiting on, of course, sunflower seeds. We're not going to have those for a while. But if this is just constantly irrigated, which it is, then that gives these beavers a chance to actually get this pulled out. And if the beavers have something else to eat, they're not going to eat these raw, which means we can use them for other stuff. I don't know. In my experience, the Water Beavers mod is kind of like a trial by fire, a nightmare mode kind of thing, where you have to do everything or else nothing can happen. But at the same time, why is this not connected? Why is this saying... Oh, I know exactly what it is. Well, here's your problem. What was I saying? Yeah, if you do a tiny thing wrong, everything collapses. And it's very, very, very easy to get into a death cycle, death spiral kind of thing where, you know, just nothing works because there's a tiny little thing you haven't done right. It is what it is. But if we can just avoid that, I think we're going to be in much, much better shape. So sometimes it's just going to be like that. Like I said in the at least a couple of the previous episodes, look, this is not a series for people who are easily frustrated. Not a mod for people who are easily frustrated. And it always brings some new people to the channel, which I'm very thankful for, but I think some folks end up kind of missing the point with like getting really, really, really mad sometimes about some of the mistakes that I make. Like, look, that's just how this is. I'm happy to have you here. Absolutely happy to have you here, but look. Play the mod yourself, you're going to understand. This is a lot better than the first couple times I did it. Let's just be perfectly honest with each other here. I want to have something else here, but I don't necessarily need to since I have storage for everything. Yeah, honestly, this can kind of just... I guess can just be brain-stimulating mushrooms. I didn't want it to be because, oh, we have so many other things we could do with this, but no. No, that's not really how that ends up working, is it? I know we still need to rebuild the, this thing. No, not that thing. Paper mill. But that has to have a spot to go where it's not going to be in the way. And that was, again, that's one of those things I was thinking about putting up on platforms here. But I also want to be cognizant of what I am doing. You know, I really don't need this to be here if I have this over here. The river bath is not something that I need 3 of right now. So I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah, okay, you know what? I did it. It's fine. 2 of these is not going to be enough long term, but I just need this to get through the last 4.5 days of the drought. Yeah, you know, I'm just gonna have to do it. 10 of these is gonna be, actually not even 10, like 8 of these is gonna be more logs than I have right now. But if I am careful, that's the caveat, right? If I am careful, I'm going to be fine. But I'm gonna start moving it piece by piece. I've got, oh, I almost said 6. That's definitely not 6. That's 9 of them. That's a very different number. Primitive paper mill. Because it does not have to go on the ground, can go right up there, and because we have stairs, then I can put this right here. Now, is this the most convenient, best spot for it? Objectively, the answer is no. However, comma, it's here, and that's what matters. It just has to exist. Oh, hey, this is up now. Good. Now we can really, really, really get back to work. We can plant more stuff. Now, before they actually start planting all these green peas, I think the balance of this is slightly off because I'm not really using green peas right now. I'm going to want them eventually, yes. But we take a look at this. There's not really much I can do with them until we get into the later game stuff, like the fried rice. And then I think there's another recipe that uses those. Yeah, the vegetable stew. We talked about that already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to keep growing just a few of them, but I'm going to want some more sunflowers. Definitely going to want sunflowers, and that's still in range there. It is, okay, it's not technically in range, but it's going to work. Again, it's better than nothing. So everything this farmhouse touches is accessible by both, but this one can reach a little bit more. So on the outskirts here, maybe don't want to do stuff that has to be harvested all the time. I don't know. We're going to figure it out, and I'm going to have assistant farmers that are going to help. But for what we're doing here, we have enough stuff that's going to have to get harvested eventually. Might as well just have this be more cabbages. I don't need this if I'm not going to have any storage over here. I don't need that. Somebody made a comment saying that I should, expand the area with the brambles. Maybe, eventually. I think at this point we're not quite there. Remember that it was 0 brambles because we're using them, and this has just recently become irrigated. So I think we probably don't have to worry about it. But this right here is not actually accessible by any farmhouses, which leads me to believe it would not be a horrible idea to do fences. Just pop those right here, and in return, give these guys just a little bit more space. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles, which doesn't seem like a lot, but the way this is set up now is probably fine. Just give them those 5 tiles and move on with our lives. Don't think I want these to be green peas. I'll make these sunflowers. Yeah, that's fine. And that is also accessible by this, so that will be a good space for those to go. I think it's fine. I think I can just kind of leave this like it is, let them do what they got to do, and continue planting when I can. And I also, yes, I've realized the tutorial is still disabled. That's on purpose. Because people probably aren't even going to notice. But I want to focus on fixing the problems. And yes, I know I've got 70-some water. I want to focus on fixing the problems that we have right now instead of trying to forge ahead. We'll have it turned on for future stuff. We just have to get somewhere, right? Okay. This amount of water is not going to cut it. The things that are consuming water do kind of still have to be on. Again, the irrigation lodges have to be on so we can grow more food, so we can keep the beavers alive. That is very important. So the only real solution we have right now, short of researching water pump upgrades, which I'm kind of reluctant to do because I don't have gears yet. Probably just build another water pump, to be perfectly honest with you. Can I? I know I can. We already talked about this. I'm, again, just putting this here because I can and I need it, and this is a decent spot. So this is now the most important building. Get more water pumped out. I am glad that that's taken care of, though. So, speaking of gears, we need to get into, and I really need to remember where these buildings are, Mechanics Lodge. We finally have 100 science. And this was something that both the mod creator and a couple of you mentioned. We just need to start getting into more stuff. And we have paper because I've been making paper. So I think the Mechanics Lodge is the best unlock for us at this time because it's going to give us gears. And it's going to allow us to access all these other blueprints and stuff once we have that available. But right now, gears are very important. Because we have... these upgrades are going to be huge. Immensely beneficial. It gives us more water pumping without having to build more pumps, which right now is the only way we can do it. Anyway, so enough of that. Let's get that unlocked. And then after that, maybe the Architect's Lodge so we can make some scaffolding, but this is just so much more important right now. Mechanics Lodge, I have to, you know, hide the HUD so I can actually place it. But this is going to be a very good thing for us to just find a convenient location for, not necessarily super close to everything, but, no, there it goes again. Somewhere on the Island of Knowledge would probably not be bad. And this, again, it's a levee, so as long as it's not completely submerged, it's not going to be impossible to use. You know, I think it's going to be easier if we just pop it in a spot like this and then get that connected. So, I know that creates the ugly 2x2, but it's going to be fine. To make gears, if you didn't catch, the recipe is 2 logs, 2 planks. And we don't have any storage of those things right now. But remember what I was saying about, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this space over here. Guess what? Log, plank, cabbage storage, fine right there, bramble flowers. But this, instead of brain-stimulating mushrooms, guess what goes in there now? That's right. It's gears. Even though we have gear storage somewhere else. It's going to be fine. Yes, it takes 10 hours to make 1 gear. Again, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. So now we have this operating, so water is still going to be kind of, yeah, but it's better. It's getting better. Let's keep these paused. Try to lower the population a little bit if we can. Just to make it not quite as nuts. Remember, these 3 are going to be paused. Then these are going to have to be unpaused. It's going to be a little bit of a population imbalance for a while, but that's water beavers, you know? That's just how it is. We've got these up here. Now, this sawmill doesn't have to be on all the time. But we're going to want to be making planks with this versus this thing, which, by the way, is not even currently making planks. So we need to get that up and running. This currently is set to make tools. I really need it to be making crude saw blades. So I'm going to let them finish this right here, and then we're going to swap this over to saw blades just immediately. And there we go. So that's going to use coal, it's going to use scrap metal, which thankfully we do have. Not a ton, but we do have. And then once we have crude saw blades, they can have this going, and then that's going to generate planks and sawdust, like we said. It's probably going to be a good idea to have actual storage for those things up here. And we can reconfigure all of this in time, you know, don't worry. We have pit piles that could be unlocked. It would be great to go right here. I don't have the science for them right now, so unfortunately what we're going to have to do is just make the uglies right here. Right there, and then I'm going to have one for sawdust as well, which is going to be a very, very easy add right there. So that's going to help. Again, everything, like I said, everything requires everything else, and it just, that's the way it goes. But we're doing okay. We're making small incremental improvements, and, you know, stuff is what it's going to be, and that's just the way it goes. Waiting on more cabbages. Yeah, we really should have done this a long time ago, and also now that this is permanently irrigated, I'm going to just claim the rest of this space back here. I should have done that sooner. And that's going to be fine. They're still working on that. They're still working on this. It hasn't been long enough for this to be a big problem. I just need them to actually put the metal cauldron in here. It is in the glorious storage currently, if you're curious about what happened to that. Autosave. Yeah, as soon as they finish this, I'll take these out. I may end up moving this one more block this way. Might be a smart way to do it. I'm not entirely sure. But these right now can for sure be changed. And they'll get that wood and all that. Why Why does it do this to me, man? Goes all the way up on the top there. Somebody left a comment that I thought was intriguing, which is, if you build covered walkways on the paths and every other spot is filled up with some sort of plant or building or whatever, would you even need the fence? And I am very, very intrigued by this. There is an easy way to test that, and that is for us to identify a space that is not currently occupied. Hey, guess what? Right here. And then, as, you know, a science experiment, construct a covered walkway. And if it doesn't spread to the covered walkway tile, then we know for sure that's fine. Now, is that a great way to spend 12 logs? Probably not, but we've got them on the ground anyway, so who cares? Let's just, you know, work with what we got, learn something along the way, and there you go. So all the rice is dead. Yes, you don't have to be a genius to figure that one out. They're working on this, just need some more planks, which, of course, are being produced up here. Much faster, so much faster than this. And again, the screw press axles are so important. We absolutely have to have those. That's fine. We're getting all of our scrap metal. Probably don't need 2 of these active, honestly. I'm going to hit pause on this one. And I know we have beavers who aren't working. It's okay. It's going to be fine. Right now, we're just in survival mode. Don't really need to be that worried about it. We're just about finished here. Just need one more plank, and then we're going to have paw-made gears. Which, of course, 10 hours per gear. But once we have those, and we have the science, going to get that water pump upgrade unlocked, and then we can massively, massively increase the amount of water that we've got without it being an issue. Now, in terms of the cereal bars, we still aren't really making any because we don't have the sunflower seeds, but we'll get there. We will get there. Now, there's water in here, and we're currently out of water, so I'm going to hit pause so they can take that water out. Keep the beavers alive. We're going to get that turned on as soon as we have, you know, a decent amount of sunflowers available. Probably should go ahead and unpause that because I did see them taking some sunflower seeds into here. As long as the beavers don't have to eat them, that's going to be fine. This, instead of rice balls, can be set to... Where is... Oh, no, they go in piles. That's right. That's right. The game has changed. The game has changed. Seeds go in piles, which, you know, I must admit, logically does make sense. But, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. This, instead of that, can be set to chestnuts, which is right there. And then I think that allows us to have everything nearby except maybe pine resin. This can probably also be changed over to pine resin as the rice balls are consumed or moved out. And then the output of this is 330, so we don't technically need a separate warehouse for it over here. Should be okay. Alright, the covered walkway is finished. And you know what I don't see under there is I don't see wild brambles. So, if we leave this alone for a little bit, and we have wild brambles under, then we know that that doesn't work. But if we come back later in the episode, there's still nothing under there, then we can be almost sure that it's going to be okay. And now it's cycle 9. Boy, oh boy, we survived. Somehow, there's almost no food. But again, it's okay. We're doing fine for the most part. And we are making cereal bars. Barely. We do have them. We just need to get more sunflower seeds, and that is what this is going to enable us to do. Thankfully. Oh, boy. What a time. What a time. So, cycle 9, day 1, we have most likely between 12 and 15 days to prepare for the very likely bad tide that's happening. So let's come off at triple speed. Let's think about it, because I think even though this wouldn't really solve all of our problems, we're going to want to start building the dams here. Remember that in Waterbeavers mod, the dams are special structures that require the metal parts, metal fasteners, which we do have, but they also take a lot of logs. Right now, this is basically all we've got for growing wood. There's trees we can cut down, but there's also a bunch of trees up here we have not done anything with. So let's get ahead of it. I'm just going to put this here because it's going to be closer. let's just indiscriminately just annihilate all of these trees, because let's be honest, we don't really need these, and they're going to be dead next time anyway, because that's just how it goes. And this is going to be our easiest access to that. Lumberjack flags, logging buildings are probably better, but oh, yeah, okay, it's also a levee. It's also a levee. I guess this is probably about the best thing I could possibly do is put this right here. Do I have the materials for this? The tools are the big thing, and yeah, I've got tools. All right, we'll do that. I know it's far away. It's gonna be okay. I need water to come back in here fast, and it's coming in. That's fine. All right, let's start swapping this. Get those on. I know we don't have water. It's yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I just need them to be able to get in here before it's too late. Yeah, we got injuries. We got stuff we can't really do anything with yet. I know I do see those. We'll get it taken care of. All in due time. Now, for the purpose of taking care of all of our population stuff, I don't think once water comes through here, I need to have this irrigation lodge working. So probably it's going to get paused so I can send these 3 beavers to, you know, live somewhere else. Yeah, water's back in here. Now let's pause this, see what dries up. It shouldn't really be anything drying up. Yeah, let's do that. These were marked. Okay, that one wasn't marked, but it's also paused. That's fine. Get these guys in here. This one probably should be turned on because it gives us just a few more spaces that we do desperately need. Yeah, we're working here. We're working here. It's going okay. We are wood felling. We are planificating. We are doing all of those things. And that should help us out tremendously here. We did get this back up and running, which thankfully is not an issue. I'm going to take this down to 2 workers. Probably don't need to worry about that quite so much. Long term, we are going to want to have more of these crappy platforms here, but the amount of wood that we're using probably should be held in reserve for some other things. Let's check in on this again. Yeah, you know what? Why is there a red outline around this? Is that just the art? I think this is going to be fine. So we could, in theory, remove the fences, and we could strategically employ covered walkways to sector off paths, and we could actually let the wild brambles grow along all of these paths. Again, very carefully. Which is why I kind of don't want to do it, because me and the word carefully don't always, you know, always go together. But if we were to employ careful, again, disclaimers aside, careful use of these could allow us to have a lot more brambles in space that would otherwise be unused. Like right along here. We could have brambles here, no problem, because they can't overtake plants that are planted. They can overtake dead ones, but they can't overtake plants, they can't overtake buildings. So if we just had like a little strip of them right here that we're just constantly going, I think that might not be a terrible idea if we are struggling to have brambles. Let's be clear, we're not struggling right now. At least not that much. I think we're okay. Now we have 40 science. When we get to 50, I do want to get that water pump upgrade and get those going. But for now, I believe we are okay. I've got 8 of these gears. We just want to always have these going. So this is fine. We want this. This is working okay. We want that. Bad water diversions. Somebody left a comment about that. Yes, I do still want to do this. However, diverting this out to here isn't going to solve a problem because this is going to come right back in. So the only thing that makes sense for this is to completely block this off. Remember, it's a seep, not a source. So should we have a bad tide come in, the easiest thing for us to do is just build a house here, because it's going to stop. And then, you know, when the bad tide's over, just demolish the house and we get the materials back. The reason we hadn't done that is because we couldn't reach it. Now we can reach it. So, you know, worst comes to worst, that is going to be what we do to contribute a solution for this area. And if we do it before the bad tide starts, then, well, it's probably not going to have any bad water in it because it's going to fill up automatically anyway. Just know that that is in my mind as a solution, but doesn't solve this. Wow, there you go. The solution for this is to build buildings here. And ideally that would be to put in floodgate dams that we could raise or lower as we see fit. The problem is this requires a blueprint, which if you play Waterbeavers, you know, requires the ENS, requires all these other things. Actually, this one probably doesn't require the ENS, but we have to have all these different buildings. We have to have the copyist lodge, the artist lodge. I think actually the mechanics, there we go. Yeah, it does the blueprint for the floodgate dam, but check out the recipes for these. Because floodgate dam takes 12.5 days, takes all these things. We haven't made tar yet. Actually, everything else is fine except the brain boosting salts. But we're not quite there. And waiting for that would be a colossal mistake. So if we get to that point, then we're just gonna have to build buildings here. But we can still send beavers through because there is a house called the what's it called? I can't remember. Pass-through lodge. That all I have to do is just pop that in a place like right here, and then we can build something on top of it to get another level, but it allows the beavers to walk through it, and then they can still go over here to get their wood, and they can get all of this taken care of, which for where we are now probably should go ahead and get this. Maybe see, I don't really have a lot of extra beavers because I paused so many of these, but we're juggling resources. That's how this goes. That's how this goes. We're doing okay. And I don't think we're going to be able to make too much more science without, yeah, sunflower seeds, which we're using to make cereal bars. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted to plant more sunflower seeds, and why I want my assistant farmers, because while the assistant farmers cannot plant, they can harvest, which frees up these guys to actually plant all the time. You know, it's just one of those things. I don't need to say it. So, man, should I do the assistant farmers more important than the water pumps? Probably not, because honestly, I could just have all of these turned on and it would, you know, maybe cause some population problems. But yeah, the farmhouse is probably the most important one. Oh boy, what am I to do about this? What am I to do about why are these dead? No, from drying out. Okay. Well, that probably can't be helped. We have cereal bars. Yeah, we're just waiting on sunflower seeds. Ugh. Okay, well, late game is not as bad because, you know, you can just make these in... Yeah, here we go. Hydroponic sunflower farm, but this is just so ridiculously far in the future it might not even exist at this point. Okay, what else can I do to improve this? I know we've got automation, but again, it's the science cost just really doesn't make sense unless it's something that would save a lot of time, which for now, Waterbeavers is really not going to be a thing. Sunflower seeds are the most important thing right now for almost everything we're doing, which is why I do think it has to be the assistant farmers, even after I said all that stuff. It's just gotta be assistant farmers. Got to be. And then after that, probably the alchemist. Where is the alchemist? I always forget. Right here. Now I unlocked this. I don't think I built it, but I don't remember. So let's check. In real life, it's been about a week since I recorded a video with this. Yeah, there's no alchemist. We need to build that, and we need to start making tar. And I've got the materials. Looks like, yeah. I was going to try to find a place for the alchemist to go, and I was going to be really unsure about it. I think, folks, it's going to have to go on the Island of Knowledge. Oh, do we need all these contaminated beaver jails? No. And most of the ingredients that this would use are already going to be over here. So, again, I think that's just the best way to do this. But before we place the alchemist, let's remember, a lot of the recipes have to have sunflower oil, which has to come from the... Where is that building? Screw press. Ah. That's 50 science, has to be researched. And then that is, of course, going to require sunflowers. I told you sunflowers are important. But that has to be powered, was what I'm getting at. And the input is right there. You see that little thing? I can't move my mouse without it moving the building, but I'm thinking this spot would actually be a better place for a screw press long term, because it means we could share power with the ancient aquifer drill. And if we did that, then I would just have to have some sort of power generation here. And power generation in the Waterbeavers mod is, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But we do have water wheels, which, fundamentally don't do much. But if we were smart, we could actually do something with it. Anyway, point being, for the purpose of power shaft connection, that is going to have to be where that goes. Assuming we're also going to, right next door, put in, an alchemist. Let's go ahead and build the alchemist. Just, keep that in the back of your mind as what's going to have to happen here. And this really should get picked up first. I really don't need to be beholden to this all the time. You know how it goes. Power shaft, power shaft, power shaft. This upward power shaft here. Oh, I've got gears. That was my big concern. That is going to go there, and then that is going to go right on top, and then that's going to go into the back of this. When it's done, I'm just building this in advance so I don't forget, because I absolutely will forget. So let's let them do what they got to do. Food is not looking great, again, but it could be so much worse, and it's not, because we have made some very careful things happen here. Did I say very careful things? That's absolutely not the right word for that. Oh well, life goes on. Assistant farmer time. I believe the answer is yes. Go on there. Why does this have a prioritized action for planting if it can't do that? Well, anyway. So, there's also, if you've played this mod a lot, then you know, there's an annoying thing that pops up here because it says, oh, they have nothing to do, which is just a byproduct of how it's set up. So you have to plant a red cabbage, because that is specifically assigned to the assistant farmers. It can still be harvested, but it's just a weird coding thing, and that's the way it is. Why does this building give a chance of clean fur? I don't understand why that's a thing. Anyway, moving on. That's why this is here. It's actually more purple than it is red, but that's beside the point. We're making progress, and that is what matters. Come on, get these logs, boys and girls. Get those logs. And then I can finally unpause the alchemist. Yeah, actually, we'll just go ahead and do that. But to make tar, I have to have the stuff, so there's no point in setting the recipe to tar right now, even though we do need tar. What we can do soon, again, not right now, but soon, is we can start making medical balms, which are going to help with, I think, burns. I'll have to check, but we can do that with basically everything we are currently able to make right now. Or, with the addition of a distillery, we can start making stuff like the brain-stimulating brain boot. Whatever this is. Always get them confused. Don't know why. That's just the way my brain is wired. But we can make this if we have strong alcohol, which has to be made in a distillery and can be made from wine, chestnut beer, or half-fermented sake. Half-fermented sake can be made in the fermentation barrels or fermentation house, depending on how you want to do it. It all starts clicking. Eventually. You just got to get through the early game. You got to be able to, do stuff slightly more efficiently than I'm generally capable of doing, but it's always worth it once it's taken care of. This is just such a really cool mod. You just have to put the patience into it. Yeah, see, this is exactly why we need the assistant farmers. And now I have run out of pine resin, which means I need to get them going over here. And that should be fine. This tapper's flag should have no problem taking care of that. Thank you, autosave. I don't know that I've got anything else under construction that's using that. How are we looking over here? Okay, good progress? Yeah, alright. I've got 21 crude saw blades. That is fine. I absolutely should have as many of those stored up as I possibly can at all times. Then I can swap this, but I've got tools. I've got metal fasteners here. I think we're fine. The balm, I was going to talk to you about what that did. Mild disease. Oh, it's for all of them. Oh, good. Good. Yeah, we really want to start making basic balm as soon as that alchemist is done. Let's preset that and let them get into that. It's just, this also uses the same stuff we have to have for everything else. So, it's fine. Brambles, sunflower seeds, pine resin, clay, all that. All stuff we're already storing over here. See, this is why it's the island of knowledge, folks. It's where the knowledge comes and goes. I guess that's a metaphor for academia in itself, but that's beside the point. Have I marked these for cutting, and why are they not? Is that because the thing is too far away? That's a question, not a statement. I should not have ended it like that. Where in the world are they even cutting from? Where even is... Where is that? I actually... Oh, is it this? No, that can't even reach. Alright, time to play where in the world are my lumberjack flags. Okay, not that one. We already looked at that. Not that one. It's paused. Oh! Why in... Okay, you know what? You know what? Don't need to worry about it. Don't need to question it. Don't need to waste anybody's time. We just need to do it. That makes so much more sense. Let's do that. And this is waiting, of course, on pine resin. This is waiting on that to be done. It's just about finished. Let's get on that. Because to build the dam houses that we're going to have to build, we're going to also have to have pine resin. Hopefully it's not going to be that big of a deal. So yeah, we are way down on pine resin. Way down. See, I should probably have built a tapper's shack. I didn't want to have any more population if I could help it. Yeah, we're just gonna need to get more water storage, and I know I have to have tar. But we have to have all of these things at the same time, and we just can't, so it is what it is. Most crucial thing, though, is getting power over here, which you might have noticed. Waterbeavers do not have a manual power thing. It has to be water wheels, or it has to be... Now, tactically, you could do it with gravity batteries if you really, really wanted to be obtuse. Best we can do, really, is the geothermal engine. But you might have noticed there isn't really an easily accessible geothermal field over here. There's one right here, but we'd have to go all the way around. There's these over here. But we'd have to blast... Well, we don't have to blast. We just have to get the blockages. It may actually be easier to build one here and have it come through this way. It may actually be easier to do that. And that would be 100 HP, which wouldn't run this at 100%, but the... I always go to the wrong spot for that. The screw press only takes 50. So, you know... okay, I'm 54 minutes into this. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you think putting a... That's a fun sound for that. Do you think putting a geothermal engine on this and then running a power shaft all the way around to this area makes any sense? Because I think it... Even though it seems like it's an insane idea, I think it would still make more sense than trying to come in from this side, because the path network is so complicated. Keep in mind that this route is still going to be subject to putting buildings here, pass-through dams or whatever, and that might not be that great of a thing long-term, but there's going to be a choice that we have to make. So, again, I'm going to leave that up to you. Right now, I think it would behoove us to go ahead and build a pass-through dam just to get ahead of the curve here, because we know we're going to need it. If I put this, say, right here... Yeah, I think that's going to make the most sense. Put this right here, and then I can put something next to it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a contiguous end-to-end thing. But this would allow them to go through here, and then I can put a 2x2 building here. That would be tall enough, and then I can just put something else on top of this thing. And everything will be okay. We just have to be careful. Okay, it does have a holler. Okay. Just gotta let stuff be what it's gonna be. And medical balm is technically on its way to being produced. This also has to be unlocked with science. Did they finish this? They did. Okay. Now we've got beavers that can pick up food, and that should massively improve everything. I know the food's not great. We're going to get there. It's going to be okay. I apologize once again for having to pause to sneeze, but that's the way it goes. We're about at the end of this episode here. I just want to look at a couple more things so I can pose any possible questions to you guys before things get a little bit irritating. So, I have a choice to keep these in the same spot here or move them somewhere else. I'm personally kind of inclined to move them because this can't reach all the rice. And this, while it can reach all the rice, can't reach all of these. I think it's going to be better for us long term to take this farmhouse and this farmhouse and maybe move them to these spots right here and put a staircase maybe in this rice paddy. I'm probably going to do that unless people object. But this is your opportunity because I always try to get you guys involved, right? I want to move these right here, and I want to put a staircase here so that they can get to a lot more of this area, and perhaps more importantly, they can get to more of this. This same amount of space over here will still be accessible if I put farmhouses here. In fact, I can probably show you. Is it going to play nice with me? No, not really. Yeah, because there's stuff in the way. But you can kind of see, even right here, being a couple spots away, look how much more on the right side of the screen. I can't move my pointer or it's going to, not let me do that. Look how much more of that I can access. That is going to be probably the best thing to do. But again, I'll let you guys decide on that. Oh, there's something else. I already asked about this. I think, honestly, this is kind of a ridiculous thing to do, but it might be our best option. And I also can't really get up here easily. So yes, let me know on that. This right here. Long term, the best option is to put in one of these floodgate dams. But I don't have the stuff to build it. So that's not an option at this exact moment in time, but that probably is what I'm going to do long term. Until then, I think we've done just about everything we can possibly do. Medical Balm, once again, is waiting on more stuff. Bramble Flowers, probably going to have to keep expanding this area just a touch. So, I've got... I mean, I could maybe expand this 1 or 2 tiles this way, but we're going to have an alternative source for brambles at some point. So if you have an idea or a preference for that, do let me know. Keep in mind there are no brambles over here, but if they were able to be introduced over here, which later on you can plant them. Yeah, here they are. But you have to have a tree nursery. If we were able to get easily over to one of these other areas, which I guess technically we can, we're not that far away. We could just farm something over here. I don't necessarily want to have that be that far away from everything else. This is kind of convenient right here. And again, you had any ideas, let me know. I do genuinely try to do the best I can. Sometimes I just can't keep up with everything. That's just how it goes. Always been that way. But that's why you guys are here. Outside of that, what else? There's just so many little things you got to keep up with that's not always easy to do. I know we don't have a lot of available workers right now. Part of that's because I tried to reduce the population. Part of that is because I just have a lot of buildings that maybe aren't necessary that are currently operating. We just have to do what we have to do. So I always appreciate you guys keeping me honest with that. I think this is probably the best time to end this episode now. So again, I really appreciate you guys, beard boosters. You already know, but if you don't somehow, they're the folks that subsidize the channel, so I can keep doing this the same exact way I've always done it. Whether or not that's for the best, I don't know, but this is the way I prefer to do it. And most people who watch the videos, it is the way they prefer as well. We don't have sponsors. We don't do any of the algorithm chasing or whatever. Just having fun playing with beavers on the internet. And, not having to sell you soap or frozen food or mattresses or whatever people are selling now. I just like to do this way, and I'm glad you guys like that as well. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll be back again soon with more water beavers, and soon also more 1.1 stuff. Gonna start a new actual video playthrough with that, hopefully this week. But I'll keep you posted. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.